health professionals. So there's no medicine out there, there's no drug out there that there's not an herbal protocol for. So even for cardiovascular issues, where that's the majority of things that people die of, where they use things like ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, and calcium channel blockers, there are herbs like hawthorn berries that has 3 of each of those.
Hi there, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Dr. Jim Sharps. Thank you, Dr. Jim, for taking the time to be with us again today. For those of you that are new to the channel, Real Talk is where we look at health topics from the perspective of original medicine, and we really aim to demystify a lot of the information and kind of swirling around on the internet. So we really want to give clear, trustworthy insights and actionable things that can be taken away and implemented into your kind of health and lifestyle decisions. So thank you again, Dr. Jim. Today we'll cover a more broad look at original medicine, and starting with the question, what are the benefits of natural health, as compared with, say, a more traditional model of health that you would find going to the hospital and pharmaceutical drugs, etc.?
Yes. So what are the benefits of natural health? Well, the key benefit is outrageous health and vitality. It's basically adding 15 to 30 productive years to your life, adding life to your years and years to your life. That is the clear benefit. There are no real downsides. And
in terms of treatments, Dr. Jim, if there are no downsides, are they safe and effective? I mean, when we say downsides, I think just clarifying that a little more, could you expand on if they are safe and effective? Because I think there are many stories that viewers could look to where too much of a natural remedy can cause issues. So maybe could you kind of clarify and expand on that point a little more?
Yes, that's a really good question. So what are the possible downsides? Are there any downsides? Well, first of all, I can tell you, I've never heard of an autopsy where somebody died and they say, oh, this person died of natural health or died of some supplement. Now, we know that over 100,000, usually between 120,000 to 130,000 people, 120,000 to 130,000 people die a year from properly prescribed drugs. And then from drug interactions and issues, there are 2 to 3 million people that wind up in hospitals, etc. So yes, can there be a time when somebody uses a natural remedy? Yeah, there are instances where some people have taken certain herbs and used them improperly, but the number is like 5 to 10, not 5 to 10,000, 5 to 10 people. So the odds of having problems with natural protocols is very unlikely. But you can overdose on oxygen, you can overdose on water. So you don't want to have the exception define the rule. So the bottom line is, with natural health and natural health diet, lifestyle protocols, you have the opportunity of adding 15 to 30 productive years to your life. And quite frankly, a bottle of aspirin will die of loneliness in your medicine cabinet. So hopefully that answers the question. There really aren't any real risks to pursuing natural health, dietary, and other natural protocols.
That's great. Thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Jim. And I think there's a phrase that you've used many times in other videos: right things done wrongly. Maybe I can somewhat edit that one to say right things done too muchly. But hopefully that clarifies that point if you had that in your mind as you were watching kind of Dr. Jim's earlier response. So,
Yeah.
in terms of at a practical level, then Dr. Jim, what are some common natural health treatments for some common ailments that many of our viewers will recognize, perhaps be experiencing at this particular moment, that are very accessible instead of going through the normal traditional route of kind of drugs and medication?
Yes, and that's a very good question. What are some of the key natural protocols? Well, there's kind of like 10 factors that even medical people look at for all issues, things like infection and inflammation and even things like psychological, etc. And there are natural protocols for all of those. For example, for infection, there's things like echinacea golden seal. For immune boosting, there's things like contrast showers. They are all, one of my favorite health professionals said there's no medicine out there, there's no drug out there that there's not an herbal protocol for. So even for cardiovascular issues, where that's the majority of things that people die of, where they use things like ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, and calcium channel blockers, there are herbs like hawthorn berries that has 3 of each of those with none of the side effects. So, and even a lot of the pharmaceuticals, some 70% of them, they start out from plants, and then they isolate the active ingredient. The problem is when you isolate the natural ingredient, you don't have the other cofactors that keep it in line. When you have it in the whole food, not only do you have the active ingredient, but you have the other balancing factors. So there are a whole host of natural protocols that are available based on what the issue is. And some of them are real simple, like water therapies, taking a contrast shower 2 to 3 times a week. These very powerful natural boosting things. There's a whole lot of people with all kinds of mental things, depression, anxiety, etc. There are natural protocols. There are things like lithium orotate, SAMe, 5-HTP, St. John's wort, ginkgo biloba, proper mineral supplementation. There's just so many natural protocols for just about over 90% of the issues that people deal with. And for that little handful that are acute issues, there's no better technology in the world than Western medicine. But for the majority of the issues that people are facing, natural protocols are far superior in terms of dealing with them.
That's clear. And in terms of follow-up question to that, in terms of you mentioned contrast showers and other things that I know and have implemented in my kind of normal life and wellness routine. Are there some kind of general natural approaches, choices, supplements that you would say is good to integrate as a matter of course that would kind of elevate the baseline of your health and wellness?
Yeah, are there some basic things that you can do to elevate your health and wellness? Yes, and it's basically just watching your diet is one of the simplest ones. Avoiding those things that we know are harmful. Eating more of a plant-based diet, exercising 10 to 20 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week, getting fresh air every now and then, getting some sunlight, not being couch potatoes. So they're very, very commonsensical things that you can do to significantly improve your health and vitality. Not overeating, not and not eating too late. Getting to bed on time. Every hour of sleep that you get before midnight is worth 2 hours after midnight. So there's just some common natural things that you can integrate based on your lifestyle, based on factors that you're dealing with, in a very commonsensical way that can do a lot to boost your health, your vitality, your sense of well-being.
Thank you. And a final question: how, if somebody's watching this video and has listened to kind of articulate that there are alternative systems of medicine from the traditional medication, how can they find a qualified natural practitioner that's going to help guide and support them in the right direction, as opposed to, as we've kind of covered in other videos, give kind of not accurate, not specific information, and actually cause more harm than good?
Yes, that's a good question. So how do you find a good natural health practitioner? And first of all, everybody knows somebody who is familiar with somebody that's either doing integrated medicine or functional medicine or natural medicine. So word of mouth is probably the best, because usually it's a person who's had good results, and so you know that the person is probably qualified. But there's other things that you can do. There's wellness retreats. There's lists of naturopathic doctors, health forums, and so you can find a good qualified professional. And I like your question, because it is very important to work with a qualified professional, because it takes away a lot of the mystery and the scariness. And I like the comment that you made before about even doing right things wrongly. So, there's a lot of things that work well for one person, but not for another. But a qualified professional can individualize, and that's what's really important. You want to personalize the health based on your particular requirements and your particular capacities. And by working with a qualified professional, it will make that transition, make that journey a more pleasant, a more enjoyable experience, and one that you can integrate in a way that you can use for the rest of your life, rather than trying to do a one and done, which doesn't work. You really need to have an integrated and comprehensive application of those natural laws of health. But I like your question. Sometimes it's very difficult to do it on your own. So working with a qualified professional, and you can find them. Like I said, the wellness institutes, the health forums, and even Dr. Google. You put a couple of keywords in there, and it'll give you some very good ideas of where you can find good qualified natural health professionals. And of course, we here at the International Institute of Original Medicine, the school is designed to equip and qualify people with these natural health protocols.
Wonderful. Dr. Jim, thank you once again, as always, for kind of sharing and just kind of demystifying things for us. If you are interested in anything that Dr. Jim has shared today, please don't hesitate to send us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, we do monitor the comment section. And if you do want to reach out further, do look at the information contained in the video description, and you can reach out to us there. But Dr. Jim, thank you again. For everybody viewing today, thank you. See you on the next one. Bye for now.
You're welcome. Bye for now. God bless.